Welcome back to episode 2 of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 Let's Play as the Chicago Cubs. As you can hear, my audio is significantly better as I got my mic hooked up. It's sitting over here to my left, and we're going to jump right in. So, I think the way I'm going to do this is instead of having you sit here and watch my computer sim, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about kind of what the plan is. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sim ahead a month and we'll take a look back at the month and we'll see what happened. We'll sim ahead again another month, et cetera, et cetera. As things come up, as I um, want to make any trades, if I want to look into potentially moving a player, that's something we'll do together. Um, but I don't think it's necessarily necessary for you guys to sit here and watch my computer simulate game after game after game. We'll do that if things are close as we get down the home stretch, that sort of thing. But for the time being, I'll let the computer sim, and then I'll come back we'll and we talk about what happened. So we're at opening day. I didn't make any. I didn't sign any free agents. There really wasn't anybody that was worth that wasn't worth spending the money on. You can take a look at the free agents. There's a couple of names in here, but nothing that I thought about Danny Salazar just to add some additional pitching depth, but fragile. I wouldn't be confident that he'd be able to make it through a full season. So what we're going to do first is we are going to set up roster. So right now we're at 26 out of 26. Major League Baseball's got a 26-man rotation at this point. Don't know. Let's take a look at if let's go by potential. It talked about David Descalso. I could send him down, but there really isn't anybody here that would blow me away to bring them up. So I think we're just going to kind of stick with the roster the way it's currently set up. I don't want to rush Horner. I don't want to rush Alzolay. We'll let them get some time in AAA. See what happens. Rex Brothers, this guy is look at these stats, guys. 99 stuff, 88 movement, 6 control. So this is something. That's those are some numbers there. So all right. So first things first, let's set the lineup. So we are to lineups, clear all depth charts. So who do I want leading off? So if we look at I think we talked about Ian Happ potentially leading off, or we could go the Anthony Rizzo route, but I like Happ leading off at least against what splits look like. Yeah, good against righties, not quite as good against lefties. So I'm okay having him bat lead off. Go Bryant and Rizzo in the 3-4 hole. Javi Baez in the 2 slot, I think. Batting fifth, so we got switch righty, lefty. I like trying to do lefty, lefty as best we can. So we'll bat Schwarber fifth. He'll play left. Wilson Contreras will bat sixth and play catcher. So we need our center fielder and our right fielder. So that's going to be a pair of lefties, unfortunately. It's going to be Hayward, followed by, Almora Jr. is a righty, so that actually works out. So let's see. Just go up and generate depth charts. Caratini every second game. I don't know if I want him every second game. Let's say every fourth game. Bodie backing up at second, third, and short. I want Kipnis backing up at second. Have him play against righties about every 5 or 6 games. Bodie backing up short is fine. Bryant backing up in left, so we might have to look at potentially picking up a backup left field. Bryant's pretty much going to be playing every day. That's not something I want. So that looks good against righties, against lefties. Let's take a look at contact. That might might do something a little bit different uh, against lefties. Excuse me. Let's stick with Bryant, Baez. Actually, yeah, let's stick like that. Baez, Bryant, Rizzo. Uh, Contreras will bat fifth against lefties. Schwarber's got some pretty splits, right? Actually, he's not bad against lefties. Everything's a little bit lighter, but bat Schwarber sixth. Guess we're gonna go with pretty much the same lineup. Bodie splits. What is splits? A little bit better against. We play Bodie against lefties. I don't know if I want him leading off though. Let's just finish filling this out. So center field is going to be Elmore Jr. What are Elmore's? I can't add him lead off with that 28 eye. What can we do here? Oh, maybe Bodie's not the right call. Add Hayward. Let's try that. Let's try Jason Hayward. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. So I'll stick with that as my lineups. So Hat, Baez, Bryant, Rizzo, Schwarber, Contreras, Hayward Jr. Against lefties, Hayward, Baez, Bryant, Rizzo, Schwarber, Bodie, Elm. I'll run with that. So let's copy that, and I'm not gonna. I probably should. Base the lineup. Steven Souza will bat DH against AL teams. Up into the 8 hole. Fill that in there. Copy our right-handed lineups. Paste. Kipnis will be our DH against right-handers. Probably leave him in the 9 hole. So fill that in, and our lineups are done. So let's take a look at our pitching staff. So Darvish, Hendricks, Quintana, Lester. Kind of feel like Lester needs to take that ball on opening, right? Just John Lester needs to take. They have Chatwood as a follower with Alec Mills as an opener. All right, we'll give it a whirl. I'm okay with that. And I think that's pretty much it from a preseason start. So lineups are set, pitching rotation is set. I am going to sim ahead here until the end of April, and we'll see where we stand at that point. And we are back at the end of a very difficult, say the least, April. The Cubs went 12 and 20 through the first month plus of the season. Struggles pretty much across the board, as you can see here, primarily offensively, as we hit 223 as a team, 10th in runs scored. It hit for some power, but other than that, it was not a good offensively. Cubbies lost Chris Bryant on opening day for about 4 weeks. So he's only played 4 games this year. So that's a poor start to season there. Really across the board, nobody has been hitting. Rizzo's doing all right, hitting 257, 784 OPS. But other than that, Javi Baez 226, Ian Happ 225, Schwarber 1, Hayward 162. It's been pretty ugly thus far. So let's take a quick look at the lineups, and I'll just sort by WAR. And you guys can kind of take a look, see here. If you want to see how everybody's hitting, you can just pause it, but it's pretty ugly. Pitching, not a whole lot better on the pitching side of things. a couple of good. I mean, Darvish has a 1.2 WAR, 2.87 ERA, 1.04 WHIP, so that's pretty solid. Almost 9 strikeouts, 9 innings, 2 and 2, 7 innings. Kyle Hendricks has pitched pretty well. His record doesn't show it. He's 0-4, ERA of 4.37. BABIP's a little high, but his FIP is so I expect those numbers to even out a little bit. Jose Quintana 0-3, 3.82 ERA. Same thing. FIP and BABIP are pretty good. It's not doing poor. Tyler Chatwood has been a bit of a surprise in that follower role. 1.243 ERA. Still walking a ton of batters, 21. But overall, so far so good. On the bad side, lost. Let me switch over to second. We lost Jeffries for the year with a torn rotator cuff, so he's out for the season. Again, he wasn't very good last year, wasn't very good in limited outings this year, so lost him for the season, so that wasn't great. And I had to call up Rex Brothers. I had to see how he was going to do, and so far not good. 10 games pitched, 7 innings, 8 hits, walked 7, struck out 10. So exactly what you would expect. I don't think he's long for the rotation, or long for the bullpen rather. So things are not looking good for the Cubs here early on in the season. In addition to that, Jason Kipnis is already complaining. He's one of the few bright spots. He's actually hitting 400, so might have to give a little bit more playing time here. Might also see if we can move him. I don't generally like to make a ton of trades. I'm not the kind of player or the kind of person who likes to flip my team on its head. It's not something I generally do. I like to see if my players can battle through it, but I will make trades as necessary. One of the other cool things about Out of the Park Baseball this year is the scouting system has been revamped. So if we look at my roster, we'll just pick Javi Baez. So you can see the scouting accuracy for Javi Baez is very high, but if we scroll through some of the lists, Yu Darvish is high. There's a good one. Chris Bryant is scouting accuracy for some reason is rated as low. So you can't be 100% confident that these numbers are accurate. So what you can do is you tell your scout him, and then in a couple of days I'll get an updated report on Chris Bryant, and scouting accuracy will change. So how do you use that to your advantage forward? Well, you can look at the draft log when it loads, and again, it hasn't loaded yet, but when it loads, you can start individually recruiting or scouting players, which will give you a more accurate read on them when you get to the draft. So that's something we'll take a look at. Probably here in a couple of weeks, because the draft pool is announced. I want to say it's on the 15th or the 5th. Oh, it's in 5 days. So let's go ahead. You know what? I just said I wasn't going to do this, but let's go ahead and sim up to the draft pool announcement. So we'll give it just a second here. On here, you can see my scout observed Chris Bryant. So if I now look at Chris Bryant, you can see that his scouting is now very high. So I can be pretty confident that these numbers are accurate. So let's go ahead and go to the draft pool announcement. We lost 3 more games. Now in last place. Wonderful. Jason Kipnis is complaining again. So now he wants to be traded. So we'll have to consider that. And so we've got our draft pool. So you see the top 10. This hasn't changed at all. Look at the mock. The mock draft will be released on the day of the draft. So you can see here is currently what the draft board looks like. They say Jordan Walker is going to go first to Detroit, Austin Martin second to Miami, so on and so forth. Rust says Tyler Soderstrom. I'm not so sure about that with the number of catchers I have in my system. I don't usually draft for need, but it's pretty clear that the Cubs are in desperate need of pitching. So what we'll do is we'll go to the draft pool, take a look at starting pitchers. There aren't many. There aren't many that are that good. So we'll go here. And you can see what the scouting accuracy is. Now, some of these guys aren't going to make it to me. So Lacey, I think, was mocked to go third. So Nick Bitsko, Emerson Hancock. So we won't look at any of these. We will look at Halter and Kelly, as well as Mick Abel. Some of these guys look like balls. So let's go to Jared Kelly. Jared Kelly, I like this. Good stuff, good movement, good control. Um, 3 solid pitches. Our scouting accuracy has him at average, so I'll request a scouting report on him. Tanner Burns, pretty good. Pretty high bonus demand, but request a scouting request on him as well. Abel, it's a huge bonus demand. I think I have the money. This could be the kind of thing where I can offer somebody above slot because I've got the money. So request a scouting report there, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. And a couple of days, I'll get some scouting reviews from my scout, and hopefully a more accurate picture of what those players look like. So um, let's turn to the team. 12-24 on May 5th, not good. Still not hitting. Pitching is not bad, but all in all, this is looking to be a bit of a mess. So Jason Kipnis wants to be traded. Let's just take a quick look and see if anybody wants him. Start with just prospects and regulars. See what we can potentially get. Again, I'm not a big trade guy. I don't like to make a ton of trades, and I try to keep them as realistic as possible. I don't like to, if a team's got an all-star catcher, I'm not going to trade them my catcher, that kind of thing. So I try to keep them as realistic as possible. And yeah, this is kind of what I thought. You get a lot of middling type players, but for someone who doesn't factor into the team's future, and frankly, I don't really have a spot for him. Maybe we can pick up, a starting pitcher or something like that. So go look through here. Nothing outstanding, really. Get a You could get a 3-star pitcher that maybe had 50s across the board or something like that, then I would consider it. But none of these. Let's take a look at. Let's just see. See if we're getting more names, but again, are any of them going to be any good? Strope, we could bring him back. Kinsler from Miami. Don't really need relievers. Looking more on the offensive side of things or starting pitchers. Oh, it would help if I had this set on all players, huh? Yeah, sorry about that. Let's make one more attempt at this, and then we'll go ahead and we will sim forward. I think what I might try to do, can't get a move here that I like, is I might move Kipnis into the starting lineup and see if his offense can spark things a little bit, maybe. But let's take a look and see what kind of offers. Jose Peraza from the Red Sox. Mr. Alberto from Baltimore. It's not bad this year. I'd like somebody with a solid eye that I could bat at the top of the order. That would be. See, like, as much as I would like to trade for Peraza, this is not realistic. The Red Sox aren't going to trade him. They signed him to a contract this year. They're not going to trade him 20 games into their first season. So I'm not going to make. I don't like to police myself, but I will. So let's go through and see what else. See what other options are. Howard is 27. Pittsburgh. This isn't bad. I did say that I needed an outfield. That's an option. Martinez, he came from St. Louis, right? Alford, younger player, not a very good hitter, so I'll pass there. Stevenson. I think I'm going to go back up here to Pittsburgh. Go for Guillermo Heredia. That gives me my outfield, my backup left fielder, which is something I mentioned that I wanted, and it moves somebody who's not happy. So we'll slot him as my backup outfielder at all three positions. That puts us where we need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and sim ahead through the end of May. And then we'll do the draft, and then I will call it for the episode. So we'll see you in just a minute. And we are back at on June 4th, which is the date of the first year player draft. And things have not gotten any better in Chicago. In fact, they've gotten a little worse as the Cubs currently sit 23-40 on June 4th. Big issue has been injuries. You can see Lester is out for 4 weeks. He wasn't pitching well when he was in the game. The big one, though, is Javi Baez, who is out for 2 to 3 months, and he was kind of the lone bright spot in that lineup this year. As you can see across the board, just some horrific batting averages up and down the lineup here. We had to call up Adbert Alzolay, stick him in the starting rotation. When Baez went down, I wanted to call up Nico Horner, but I couldn't because Horner was hurt. So I had to call up Zach Short, and he's contributed with a stellar 0.56 batting average. There's unrest in the locker room. People are asking to be traded. Brandon Morrow's unhappy. He wants to be a closer. He's going to end up getting moved. The big one, though, is, and it's not here, I must have deleted it, but Yu Darvish has asked to be traded. He doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, as he says, so we might have to see if that's something we can accommodate. If we look at the player update, what I was afraid was going to happen has happened, and that's sort of the wheels all falling off at once from pretty much everybody. Look at Quintana, 2-8, 5.47 ERA. Go down to Kimbrel, 9 saves, 3.44 ERA. He's been fine, but team's terrible, so it doesn't matter. Hendricks, 2-8, 4.79. Darvish, 4-3, 3.01. He's pitched well, so we might have to see what we can get there. Pretty much across the board, it's just been a train wreck from start to finish. Some nice improvements, like in Haps, grew it quite a bit here, but there hasn't been any hasn't shown in the results as he's only hitting 218. We made wholesale changes to coaching staff. Come over here and look at our personnel. We brought on a new trainer, Rick Griffin. He's only been on the team for 9 games, but pretty good across the board. I look for trainers who are good at preventing injuries, and he is excellent at that. New scout, we brought on Jaron Madison. He's excellent across the board, and then great at majors, so he should give me some pretty clear information regarding people I'm looking at. We fired our hitting coach and brought on Mike Brumley. Brumley has a focus on patience, so he's going to help Rizzo, Happ, and Bryant. Probably 3 of the most important people. Sorry about that. 3 of the most important people in my lineup. Haven't gotten rid of the pitching coach yet, Tommy Hotovy. He helps Alzolay, which is really the only young pitcher we have. So don't really want to bring somebody else in. I want to see if maybe develop him a little bit. Um, yeah, otherwise it's been a mess. So we are at the draft, and what I want to do, I guess, is first things first. I'm gonna offer you Darvish up. See what kind of offers we. Oh, and by the way, I always play with trades on hard. It's just how I've always done it. I find neutral to be too easy to fleece the computer. A hard makes it a challenge. So we're gonna stick with hard, and that's gonna get me fired, but we're gonna stick with hard. So Darvish, shop him. Don't want any veterans. Let's just take a look at prospects first. So we get some options. Again, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I've got kind of a. I look at Connor Wong and I'm like, Mookie Betts, but yeah. So scroll through and take a look. Again, we're probably looking for some young pitching. Vladimir Gutierrez, excuse me. It's pretty good numbers. That movement is a little concerning, but it'd be a good option. I'd rather not trade Darvish within the division though. So that would also rule out Drew Rasmussen. A couple of good options from the Yankees, Davy Garcia. Uh, I like those numbers. Again, scouting accuracy is low though, so what I might do is this: request a scouting report, see how accurate this is. Maybe that might not be a bad deal. Bring in a 21-year-old starting pitcher, see what else I can potentially get from the Yankees in a deal like that, and that's really it. So not a lot of options with regulars. A lot more options here. Some pretty solid names on there, it looks like, as well. Folty, Foltinowitz from the Braves. It's not bad, but making $6.5 million in arbitration, I'm not crazy about. Chavis, power hitter from the Red Sox, can play first, second, third. I wouldn't want him to be the key piece in a deal for Darvish, though. Although they could use some starting pitching. The Red Sox definitely need some starting pitching. Could go cross town and pick up Carlos Rodon. Let's see what else we got here. Dodgers, no. Maybe I could pick up a Clint Frazier, Davy Garcia type. That would. Hmm. That's not bad option, actually. Let's do this as well. Let's get a scouting report on both Frazier and Garcia, and we'll see what else we can do with that once we get reports back on both of Zach Wheeler. Just signed a huge contract with the Phillies. I'm not interested there. So I'm thinking that Yankee deal might not be a bad move, depending on what the end results of Frazier and Garcia are. Is there anybody else? Yeah, I mean, let's shop Hayward and see what we get. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but if I can move him, I add a veteran. Let's see. Nothing. Salary. Nothing. That's gonna be a problem. I can't. Oh, I can't make any more. Can't make any more attempts. All right. So we have a deal for you, Darvish, that we can take if we want. But we'll just have to see what happens. So going on here. So okay, this is a bug, obviously. So we'll have to take a look and see what happened here. But the Iowa Cubs defeated somebody 103-7. Play that they 107. That can't possibly be right. Have to take a look and see what's going on there. Oh, they don't have enough pitchers. Yeah, so that's my fault. We're gonna have to move some players. I'll move some players around. I'll sign some free agents and get them plugged in. But that's what happens with the injuries and everything else. So I will move some stuff around and get some players added to the roster. So that was my fault. So let's go ahead and jump to draft. So we have the 16th overall pick. So let's start the draft. And let's just auto pick until next pick for us. So let's see. Let's go to default. Let's go all players. Excuse me. Let's see what we have here. All right. So who do they want me to take? Scouting director want me to take. Scouting director wants me to take catcher Drew Romo. I don't want another catcher. So let's take a look at some of the other options here. Jared, this kind of like him. He's got 4 good pitches, pretty decent stuff. But I like the variety of pitches. That's nice. Aiden Cantrell, no. Chase Davis, got some power. He's the kind of player that I think will be there in future rounds. Michael Kirian is a relief pitcher, yeah. Changeup probably won't ever develop. Wallace got some power as well. I could go in the Witt family. Tanner, I bet Tanner will be there in the second round. He's got some big time power, so that might not be a bad second round pick. Kevin and Mick Abel, I looked at both of them. Wants a ton of good pitcher, but I'm not giving him $12.5 million. What about Kevin Abel? It's got Tommy John surgery. Pass there. Go Alaman. It's not a bad pitcher either. I think I'm going to go with Jared. I think we're going to take a pretty good mix of pitches. Movement's not great, but he's 18 years old. Potentially develop. So, Jared Jones, welcome to the Chicago Cubs organization. Also significantly lower than slot. Not that that matters a whole lot right now. Auto draft pick. Is Tanner Witt still around? Nope. Let's take it. Okay. Now who do you think we should take? 8. Do they really want me to take a catcher? I don't want to take a catcher. So let's take a look at. Oh, usually has a good run here. Let's do this. Let's take a look at batting potential. Let's do this. Sometimes find. See, like he's a pitcher who's actually got better contact. Pitching situation. And what I'm finding with Out of the Park Baseball 21 is that a lot of these pitchers are starting with kind of really lower skills to begin with. They build them up over time. So see, like this guy, I like this. I like this mix. Good stuff, pretty good control, 4 good pitches. Movement could hurt him, but junior college. I'm gonna take Slade Ciccone after the next pick. Let's see. What do we have? Not a whole lot. This guy's definition of average. But definition of average at this point, I would be okay with. So Andy Abbott, fourth round. Let's go back to batters and see if there's any power guys or anything. Josh Moylan, Ellum Clark. I mean, if his contact develops, he might be okay, but drafting for baseman. Scout thinks I should take Jurgen Switzer, JUCO freshman, Centerville, Iowa. Could potentially be a starter. Let's go back to pictures. I'm gonna go Alleman, Franco. Auto draft. Figure if I load up on pitchers, some of them have to pan out, and definitely some pitchers. Got a couple of good hitting prospects in the minors. Not a lot in terms of pitching. Should take Miller Smith as a catcher. It's this guy. Members of the media consider him a quote intelligence. He's an average catcher. This guy wants $7.5. Taylor Smith it is. And I think at this point I'm gonna let them head auto draft. And then we will come in and negotiate with these, offer Hernandez, which is, at least with Jared Jones, it was significantly less than slot, so that's going to save us some money, which is nice. These guys, what they're asking for. Let's take a look at some of the other picks and see if they're okay. So Werner Blakely is a shortstop who is already committed to Michigan. Projects to have a nice power bat, speed, already a pretty decent infielder. And I could offer Werner Blakely $600,000. I'm okay with that. 600 million. 600. Okay. Offer that. Josh Moylan. That. Brock Wilkin. No. Ryan Hampy. Catcher / first base. Decent bat. Yeah. I'm going to offer him 600 as well. That. Tervel Johnson. No. Nate Allum. No. Stone. 3. So that is our draft. So let's take a look really quickly at offense, batting, and pitching here before we call it an episode. Again, it's just been bad. It's just been bad across the board. We're not hitting. We're not pitching. Wholesale changes are probably on the horizon. Any of these long-term, any of these longer contracts, Darvish is probably going to go. If I can get anything for Hayward, we'll move him. We'll move Kimbrel, Hendricks, Quintana. I mean, it's coming. Schwarber. Really, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez are the only untouchables. Anybody else is fair game. Treris, probably fair game since I've got Caratini on the back burner, and he's gonna take a pay bump here coming up next year, so I got to figure out what I want to do with him. So that will do it here for episode 2. If you liked it, leave a like. Go ahead and subscribe. I think that's what you're supposed to say, right? Like, subscribe, click the bell. Isn't that what everybody says? If you like what you see, let me know. If you don't like what you see, let me know. If you got some comments for me, you got some advice, some tips for a new YouTuber, please let me know. Otherwise, we will see you all again soon. Thanks. Take care.